Hello, I'm Wolf,
Hello, I'm AChicken.
and we're the founders of the Glacorian development team. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about the both of us, please check out our first episode of the QNA series, where we introduce ourselves and explore why we want to share the story of the Glacorian universe with everyone.
If you're not familiar with the setting, we gave a synopsis of it in our first episode, and this whole series is dedicated to shedding further light on it as well.
Alright, so this month's first question comes to us from Hattadamad, who
one that's not from Duckaboo.
Don't worry, next month we got some more from Duckaboo. Hattadamad originally watched our Q&A podcast on YouTube. He shared with us some of his questions there, and he's since joined the Discord server. And so his first question here is, has man evolved any? If so, in what ways? I would think that coming into contact with space environments could alter our DNA in unexpected ways.
Absolutely. So we're working on a TTRPG rule set called the Rifling System Expansion that covers the 5 main human evolutions. It's not available to purchase yet, but it's based off of Starfinder First Edition by Paizo Inc. There's a few sets of legal requirements that we have to align with first.
Yeah. Yep.
But we can discuss some of those evolutions in the meantime. In general, humans have become taller due to a greater but not extensively universal exposure to zero-G environments, as well as better access to a balanced diet and reduction of processed foods. The average human is around 190 centimeters tall, or about 6 feet 3 inches, with a quote-unquote tall human being just over 7 feet.
Absolute giants.
Yeah. And these aren't like lanky, except for like, I think it's the Horizoners, the Proximans.
The Martians.
Oh, they're the lanky ones? Because the low gravity ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
But we'll get to those in a minute, the specifics.
Yeah. Anyways.
Genetic modification and therapy has also played a large part across all of the species within the Glacorian universe, not just humans. In these last few months, in real world, scientists in our modern day have researched a treatment for Huntington's disease, as well as some others. And Huntington's is a genetic condition that affects a fractional but not negligible portion of the population on Earth. And so it would be conditions like this that no longer affect humanity in the Glacorian universe, and we would effectively have forced ourselves to evolve out of them. And it's not forced evolution in the way that people refer to Spartans that would literally feed disfigured children to wolves.
Yeah. It's CRISPR.
CRISPR genetic augmentation.
Yep. And the genetic manipulation you can do during IVF. Yep. Since not every planet is like Earth, though, and therefore humans are born and develop over generations on other planets throughout the many colonies within the universe, there are some more significant changes. We'll just go through what we've written down in the core rulebook. So, Proximans, for example, are a group of humans named after the first planet where their variation was recorded, which is in the Proxima Centauri star system. Dawn, the colony in question, has a low oxygen atmosphere, and so their bodies generate more red blood cells and less white blood cells at a genetic coding level, unlike altitude acclimation, which is temporary. Tiberians are another group who were named after the planet Tiberium in the Tigardin system. Unlike Dawn, Tiberium has an oxygen-rich atmosphere, which causes them to generate less red blood cells and more white blood cells. They tend to end up rather pale and suffer from drier skin.
Then we have Horizoners, who are named after the planet Horizon in the Glice 1061 system, which has a notably higher gravity pull than Earth, and so they've developed a bit more squatly and have denser bones. Basically space dwarves, but very much not space dwarves.
Short!
And then lastly... Short!
Oh, man.
Hi, King. This is not the time for short-sightedness.
Short!
And then lastly, we have Martians, which are effectively the inverse of Horizoners. Obviously, they're named after Mars, which has a much lower gravity pull than Earth, and so they tend to become lankier with weaker skeletal systems. And, we said that humans can get up to 7 feet tall. A Martian would get to about 7'8".
Skeletal. Not skeletal, skeletal.
Skeletal, that's how you say it.
Okay.
Actually, I saw a post the other day, and it was talking about how Americans say the word fart in a way that's just so aggressive. You say fart. It's like, fart! Who farted?
Yeah.
Whereas everywhere else it's like, who farted?
Oh, man.
Like...
That's because a fart offends the olfactory senses. It's offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, everywhere else in the world says farted.
Oh,
farted.
So speaking of farts, I guess, what do these evolutionary changes mean in regards to the human race as we know it in the 21st century? This question, by the way, is from Duckaboo, so I guess we're never going to get away from the idea that maybe he's keeping us chained up in his basement or something.
So, regarding the quote-unquote human race in the 21st century, as part of the setting, what we really want to be doing and have tried to maintain as a common theme in our works is that the human race, quote-unquote, as we know it in the 21st century, is actually a very good thing. So while there are genetic differences in continental ancestry, these don't scientifically differentiate our species as separate races. And as far as moving into the frontier of space is concerned, it's of little consequence to the big picture.
As mentioned in the previous question, there are some major phenotypical differences that have actually evolved as part of moving to new worlds that are unlike Earth. But neither that nor Earth's continental ancestry play any serious role in interpersonal interactions, and certainly not any role that we're interested in writing about. Though it occurs to me that if, say, a woman was only 5'11" and she fell in love with the Martian that was 7'8", they would have some. While everything would work out anatomically when they were laying down, it sure would be difficult to kiss.
Yes, I'm actually reminded there's an episode of Dr. House or House MD where House meets a woman with dwarfism, and he says, "So what's the logistics?" Says,
I saw this episode.
I stand on a table, and he spins me around. And then he says he's being really nasty to her, and then at the end he says, "Want to go for a spin?"
Oh my god!
Travels through your veins, allowing us to see any bright spots that might indicate infection.
I'm 4'1". That's 1.5 canes in metric.
You don't look a day over 4 feet. I saw in the file that her dad was normal sized.
It's average sized.
Compared to you, I'm sure it was huge. So did he have a fetish, or did he just fall in love with your long-legged soul?
He grew up in the circus. Said I reminded him of home. Seems like you're the one with the fetish.
I'm certainly curious about the logistics. You stand on a table.
House.
Pretty much he'd lay flat and spin me.
Mom. So, Abigail, you want to hop up on the table for me?
That's gonna be tough.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me give you a boost.
Stop treating her like she's 5. Just bring over a stool and let her climb up herself.
Mom, it's okay.
I'm just trying to be helpful.
She also hates Jews.
I've dealt with worse. Being different, you get used to people's idiocy. Still beats the hell out of actually being an idiot. What?
Care to go for a spin?
I'll include a clip of that in the Q&A episode.
Should include a clip of the that Warhammer Total War Warhammer introduction. Short. Let's not get short now.
Let's not be short-sighted. Short!
Oh, man.
All right. My next question also comes from Duckaboo. He says, Do Gamolans and Kothorians also have their own phenotypes, and how did these phenotypes arise?
Yes! So that was a very aggressive yes as written.
Yes!
Yes, Gamolans and Kothorians technically have their own phenotypes. However, these have developed over the course of their own history on their homeworlds, obviously. Kothorians have adapted to meet the climatic conditions of the various regions of Donren, where they go from extreme alpine conditions at the North and South Pole to enormous stretches of desert around the equator. Gamolans have gone through a long history of genetic selection due to resource shortages, and later sought genetic modification as their technology grew more advanced. If I'm not mistaken, in the lore, they also had a bit of a purge, too, that caused some genetic selection as well. Which is...
Yeah, that was part of the resource shortages.
Yeah, which is an uncomfortable... I remember you said you were uncomfortable writing about it, but it's like, damn, I gotta write about it.
Yeah, so they live on a desert world, and it's very hard. When you live on the surface, you get accustomed to working with sand and sandstone. It becomes very difficult to go deeper than surface layers, and so it's coarse and rough and irritating.
Oh my god.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.
Oh my god.
And so they ended up reaching a point where they'd mined most of what they could out of the surface, and so they had basically mined everything they could, depleted all of their new resource deposits, and so it kind of reached a stalemate, a stagnancy.
Yeah.
Stagnation, and they were like, well, only the rich and only the quote-unquote genetically superior members of our society can use these resources. And so then they started going, well, if we don't want to be a peasant, then we're gonna... They went through a eugenic age,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a way of showing that their climate was harsh, and harsh times make people do drastic things, and that it's something that they've overcome, and they have moved past those really brash decisions, and it's kind of one of the motivators for helping other people so that they don't go and do those really reckless and untasteful things.
All thanks to humanity's plentifulness. His prosperity.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. Alright. Another Duckaboo question.
So, another Duckaboo question. How did the new phenotypes affect the development of society and culture for their respective species?
So, for humans and Gamolans, these phenotypes are more a consequence of the continuing develop of culture throughout the ages, not the other way around. One could consider them like more like a side effect than anything else, and had developed past a time in history where they were self-aware enough to move beyond stigmatization. For the Kothorians, however, these phenotypes did end up as part of a sort of caste system, a soft caste system, if you will, with their warrior culture putting them in a position where the strong dominated the weak. The strongest phenotype, that is the leonine or lions of the Kothorian species, oftentimes took the position of pirate king, emperor, or lordship over their physically weaker, though sometimes even smarter, subordinates.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned smarter. So this wasn't necessarily a hard caste system. So the Kadiskans, or house cat-like Kothorians, were the physically weakest phenotype of Kothorians, though they were also intellectually the strongest, and so they had a wide variety of jobs amongst Kothorian society in the form of whether that be being physically dominated and enslaved, or becoming an engineer or artisan, or as an advisor, so a very high-ranking role an advisor to one of the aforementioned pirate kings.
Worth noting that the smartest Kothorian on average, or the average Kadiscan, is human level average intelligence.
Yeah.
So Kothorians are on average, below human intelligence.
Yeah.
So,
another Duckaboo question.
Oh yeah. What exactly are the mating habits? Which I know we give him hard time, but he actually got really good questions. And without him, we would have run out of content a while ago.
Oh yeah.
What exactly?
He's a big inspiration.
Yeah. What exactly are the mating habits and dynamics or familial relations of both Kothorians and Gamolans like? What are their views, cultural nuances, or reasons for certain actions, as well as the general sequence of events or pipeline from going to strangers, quote-unquote dating analogs, and quote-unquote marriage analogs, or any analogous equivalent?
Okay. So, how does courting work for them? Well, this is going to be.
Go ahead.
It's going to be a little bit funny, but the Kothorians have a pretty troubled history, so it's going to be a little disturbing.
I remember reading this question and just giggling because I was like, oh man, this is going to be really uncomfortable to write about the Kothorians.
Yeah, the Gamolans have their eugenics, the Kothorians have their slavery, and so developed as part of their culture. So the Kothorian mating habits, shall we say, have changed, quote unquote, since they began their integration into human society. During the first
not
creed,
acceptable to have sex slaves.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, what do you mean? No.
Oh man.
During the first creed, that is Kothorians prior to joining humanity, Kothorian society emphasized the strong ruling over the weak, and the weaker someone was the less, the weaker someone was, the less freedom they enjoyed. This extended to reproductive freedom as well. The strongest Kothorians would take concubines and mates as they pleased, oftentimes without consideration of the other's consent. After the human victory over the First Creed, many captured human concubines, which is to say sex slaves, were freed. And in addition, while the integration of Kothorian space into the Glacorian shogunate has been slow and gradual, Kothorian planets increasingly have human standards regarding consent enforced, which is a bloody good thing.
Yeah.
So in a fully integrated Kothorian world, and for Kothorians living in human society, Kothorian mating habits are similar to human mating habits, though more frequent, less monogamous, and more energetic, shall we say. Though important to note is that polygamy is not officially permitted in the Glacorian shogunate, and polygamy, we should, clarify, polygamy is formal legal marriage, whereas polyamory is informal mating.
Yes. So the Kothorians have an
we have yet to they do. We have yet to agree on whether Kothorians have barbed bits like Earth felines do.
Oh man. So the Gamolans. Gamolans as reptiles have vastly different physical biology to both the Kothorians and humans. Gamolans lay eggs, and as such, they don't require an extensive pregnancy period like mammals. Their historical culture, which is somewhat reflected in their modern form within the Glacorian shogunate, was matriarchal, with female Gamolans being the strongest and most durable in the harsh environment of their homeworld, Lishana. In the early stages of Gamolan history, Gamolans went through Arhenotoki parthenogenesis, which is where a female could only lay fertile male eggs and infertile female eggs without requiring a male mate, and would need a mate in order to lay fertile female eggs. However,
so this is that's seen in beehives. By the way.
Okay. Yeah, it sounded familiar. I was like, man, I've heard this before in some insects or something. However, after a long period of resource scarcity on their homeworld, this evolution changed and a mate became required to lay fertile eggs of both kinds. due to the shorter period of gestation for eggs in gamolans, females enter oestrus once a week instead of once a month for humans. Take a week to gestate and lay, and then are fertile again the week after. Eggs are laid in warm pools of water at specialized facilities, which are then generally protected and nurtured by male gamolans. This dimorphic dynamic makes gamolan-human or gamolan-Kothorian relationships very different to the conventional romance for either species. But they aren't impossible, just genetically incompatible.
So, within the modern Glacorian shogunate setting, that is the year 2865, Gamolans and Kothorians have generally settled into what we humans would consider a fairly standard romantic dynamic, with the exception that Kothorians tend to favour, though are not necessarily always drawn to, polyamorous relationships and aren't bothered by quote-unquote cheating as much. And Gamolan relationships put much less significance in the physical romance aspects of their dynamic. To them, physical mating, is basically seen as a job to be done on occasion for them.
So I noticed we didn't include Ladarans, but I don't really want to talk. I'm thinking maybe we should have like a dedicated Q&A for Ladarans that covers all of the gamut of all this. Because part of it we still have to develop.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we're only just starting to, I guess, crack open for the Ladarans. Yeah. We're kind of on a bit of a roll for them at the moment. And you're right, I think that we should do an episode for them.
Yeah. But I also like the idea of being a little more tight-lipped about them to represent that the player sees things from... They may have a larger understanding of the Glacorian shogunate's total... more understanding of the Glacorian universe than the average Glacorian citizen, but they still are coming at it from the perspective of the Glacorian shogunate rather than...
the humans, yeah.
Rather than a being that can see everything equally. Because the Ladarans would still be kind of cloistered and private, even though they were in the process of integrating.
There's a narrative tool which we are using, and that kind of happens in all science fiction, and that is human readers are able to infer things because they're human and have cultural knowledge. They're able to infer things about humans, and so everything about every other species, they can only know what we tell them.
Yeah.
And so that is a tool in and of itself to create mystery and ambiguity. And that's what we want for the Ladarans.
Yeah. So let's see. I think the next question is for me to start. Let's see. So with the consideration of technological impacts, like the advancement of genetic technology and the cultural impacts from the integration of Gamolans and Kothorians, what is the situation of interspecies relationships? How are they viewed, and how do they navigate both the cultural and biological divide?
So that one's from Duckaboo as well.
Yep, another Duckaboo.
I think the rest of them for the month are... So humans, Kothorians, and Gamolans are all technically compatible to engage in physical romance with one another, and as sapient creatures with deep emotional and cognitive dynamics of their own, they are capable of communicating with one another in romantic ways. Much like how there are human beings today with personalities that don't match with other human beings, and vice versa, there would be some personality mismatch between Kothorians, Gamolans, and humans, especially with consideration to, like I said, the vice versa. Generally speaking, Kothorian personalities tend to better match with fellow Kothorians. The same is true, obviously, for humans and Gamolans, where they prefer to match with their own species, but this isn't always the case. Interspecies relationships are perfectly functional, though since you asked about genetic technology, we're inclined to mention that no, hybrid children of the species are not possible.
Oh, no half Klingon, I mean half Kothorian. So something we have discussed, however, is the possibility for in vitro genetic modification that would allow whatever small parts of DNA that were compatible between species, such as eye color, for instance, to be copied from one parent, put onto a blank template, and then used in the process of in vitro fertilization. This would make a child that is technically the genetic offspring of both parents in an interspecies relationship, but could not create, say, Nikos, which are humans with cat ears, which I think we have a follower
Yeah.
that he's actually writing his own story about humans with cat ears, I think.
Yes, I do believe so.
I haven't heard from Freya in a while.
I spoke to Freya about Hearts of Iron 4
Okay.
a little while back.
Might have to, next time we have a Stellaris game, we might have to. Well, we are going to invite him and everyone else. We need to do that again.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Anyways, culturally, none of the interspecies relationships are taboo, and it's just a part of life for everyone. One could liken its perception to modern interracial relationships, but with actual genetically limiting factors in terms of procreation. Naturally, given the high incidence of clans and some of their xenophobic motives, there are groups everywhere that would either shun or approve of these kinds of relationships, but it's a normalized part of society.
Yeah. So that's a really good point. It leads into the next question, which again is also from Dr. Boo, and he asks, has marriage or relationships, specifically between humans, changed in any way?
So our short answer is no. To give a long-form explanation, we need to first say that our intention with the Glacorian universe is strictly narrative. While we don't want to hand-wave important matters necessary to tell the story of humanity in the future, we also aren't here to make a statement about the politics of personal relationships. Anything that's written is written for a narrative purpose in a work of fiction, and Glacorian development doesn't promote any specific idea or alignment.
So, as far as the setting is involved, people are free to make their own choices, and since executive powers are emphasized in local, particularly mayoral levels, this means that what you can and can't do is effectively only influenced by you, and in exponential degrees of flexibility, your neighbors.
Exponentially decreasing degrees.
Decreasing,
not
that's correct,
increasing.
yes.
Anyways.
There are some overarching laws and guidelines that are mandated by the overhead government, like mandatory military service, but gender and sexuality rights are not among them, since it's irrelevant to the story of the setting and would detract from the main themes and ideas that we do want to explore.
Worth noting, so a lot of that too is, I mean, if everyone is armed with some shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles and automatic grenade launchers or whatever it is they can buy after their 2-year service, it gets really hard to enforce certain things, which is kind of what
I don't like. Yeah,
which is kind of what happened
can you
in
imagine
the US.
walking up? Imagine walking up to someone with a freaking rocket launcher and saying, "Yeah, I don't like.
You're not allowed.
I don't like the color of your hair. I don't like that you wear a mohawk. I don't like that you wear a blue shirt.
Don't like that you have a Gamolan wife or whatever."
Yeah. Like, okay, nice. What are you gonna do about it, big
like,
fella?
okay, well, you cannot like that. What are you gonna do otherwise besides dislike it? Which is, I mean, that's a lot of why. That's like how would I put this? In the U.S., it's kind of overlooked, but a lot of the reason, like, the civil rights movement worked is there was an element that was like, look, we're gonna do this and we're armed, so enforce your bigoted laws.
Yeah.
And good luck. And that wasn't the primary. If that was the primary, it would have been crushed like a slave rebellion. But because that was that was the spine, so to say, of it, the teeth of it, it made it much harder to just be like, yeah, we're just gonna ignore you. It's like, we probably should deal with this because all they want is to be treated, like normal people. So. And that's the importance of being armed. You, even if you don't actually have to use it, just being willing to be like, look, I think this is my right. I'm going to defend it. Makes it a lot harder for someone that wants to violate you to just offhandedly do so. Makes it easier. It makes it more valuable to negotiate. Mutually assured destruction gets a bad rap, but when it's either mutually assured destruction or negotiation, it works.
Yeah. Name a nuclear weapon that has been deployed since World War II.
Since the U.S. was the only one that had them.
Yeah. We haven't lost big cities to a single detonation since then.
No, because the cost is so great that negotiation is more profitable. For now, at least. Hopefully it'll stay that way. I have faith.
Yeah.
So this final question is from me, and worth noting is we didn't write a pre answer to this, so whatever we get in this Q&A is straight from Wolf at the moment.
Yep, flying by the seat of my pants. I'm doing some research as we speak.
Yep. Kothorians are plainly modeled after Earth lions. Lion males tend to kill male cubs, such is my understanding anyways. One reason I've heard is that male lions lack a well-developed paternal instinct, such as what human males have. This causes them to not understand cubs that are playing and cubs that are competing for power over the pride. Do Kothorians have similar issues where their mothers have to hide their cubs from the fathers and fight the fathers to protect their children?
Okay, so I just did a little bit of research about this, and I think we talked about phenotypes earlier. I think that phenotypes would actually play a large role in this. So we have the Acinonyxians, which are cheetahs or leopards. They're not the same, but... and so... I'm just having a look at the Wikipedia article right now, and it says that lions love killing cheetahs, especially their cubs. And so I think that the case would be that we're a leonine, a lion Kothorian that is a pirate king or a warlord or something like that. He has all these concubines. He has children with many different phenotypes of Kothorians.
He
would be more
ones.
aggressive with, or she, if it's a female pirate king, pirate queen, would be more aggressive with phenotypically similar children. So if the leader is a pantherina, is a panther, then they would probably be more aggressive with their leonine children or their Kadiskin children. A leonine would be more aggressive with their pantherine, Acinonyxian, Kadiskin children, but they would more likely preserve the lives of their own phenotypes children. And another
which that aligns with what Amkirkla was saying. So Amkirkla provided some additional information.
It's actually Nebula,
which boiled. Oh, it was Nebula. It was Nebula that did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was Amkirkla. Yeah, which it boiled down to, well, yeah, they do, but they only do it in certain instances,
so,
kind of thing. And the instances he described
so
are what you're describing.
Another thing about what he said is that the leader of the pride doesn't usually kill the male cubs that get aggressive, but can be aggressive with them in the form of, snarling at them or physically batting them away. And sometimes they might not be, so it really just depends on that lion's temperance. Something interesting that I picked up here on this article is that when a lion of a pride takes the mantle of the pride, so kills the current leader of the pack, they can kill specifically the youngest of the cubs in order to assert their dominance over their new dominance over the pride, but that young lionesses So young cats won't. So they'll run off and have their cubs, and then they'll return to the pride when the cubs are older, to protect them from these kinds of hierarchical upsets.
Yeah.
So you would have concubines or slaves that go missing, and it's like, well, they're protecting their kids,
Yeah.
and so then they come back with these adolescent cubs.
Interesting. So that adds an interesting dynamic for subterfuge and assassination, by the way. If it's culturally acceptable for a concubine to give birth away from everyone, then there's a period when they are not
That's
monitored.
correct.
Interesting dynamic. That's just for future story writing, especially during the human Kothorian war, for assassination.
And so you could have a the Romanovs. You could have a Romanov analogy, where people are coming back claiming to be the parallel of Anastasia, claiming to be the lost concubine of the chief, the war god of the First Creed, and that their children are the rightful heirs of the new Kothorian order, kind of thing.
Yep.
Obviously,
they'd have genetic testing at that time, but unlike in the past. But
that's a potential story avenue.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Especially if it ends up being true.
Yes.
If the claim ends up being true. And before they're like buck teeth, and before they have the equivalent of Kothorian buck teeth and cross-eyed.
What, from inbreeding?
No one's following this person. No one's following this person. Doesn't matter what their lineage is. They'll have to go through some what is it? Some surgery to fix that.
Kothorian plastic surgery.
People buy with their eyes, and if they don't like what they see, they'll never follow it. But all right, so those were some of the questions that was good, by the way. Wolf, thank you for answering that. So those are some of the questions we've had sent to us through our Discord server. A link to the Glacorian Development Discord server is in the description of this video. If you want to come check us out or get involved in the community, it's open to everyone. In addition, we will include a link to our Patreon for those interested in supporting our efforts.
If you have any questions or simply want to follow our progress as we develop media for this universe, please join us on Discord. If you want to support our efforts and can afford it, consider our Patreon. Thank you for listening.